Hello, and welcome to the Business Spotlight Series, episode number 29. Today we're here with Dan Ryder from Chelsea ATA Martial Arts. Dan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. So thanks for having me today.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for coming on. So, as usual, we thought we'd start out with a little bit of a background on yourself and how you got into this profession.
Okay. All right. Well, I started when I was a little kid. My parents brought me in to my instructor school because I was shy and they wanted me to kind of get out of my shell. And so they kind of sent me in kicking and screaming to start Taekwondo. And I've been doing it ever since. It's been like 28 years or so.
That's awesome.
So,
That's funny. Yeah, that's funny you used the term kicking and screaming, and then you went inside and they were like, that's not a kick. And they showed you.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Very cool. And so you've been doing it professionally for how long?
Since about 2006. Well, even before that, I was working for my instructor at his school. My instructor owns the ATA in Tecumseh.
Oh, okay.
So
very cool. So that's where you got a lot of your knowledge was from him?
yes, yeah. ATA is worldwide, so I've trained with a lot of people all over the place. But my instructor is Chief Master Sandoval in Tecumseh.
That's very cool. And I suppose you never really stop having an instructor, even when you become one yourself, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I'm scheduled to test for 7th degree this weekend, and he actually sent me a message. He's like, "Hey, I want to see you on Thursday." And so Thursday or tomorrow, I get to go work out with him before I go test.
No, that's super cool. That's good, man. It's like teachers going. It's fun. So anyways, so he's out to come see or whatnot. Now we talked a little bit beforehand, and you said originally you had some space in Manchester, the Wellness Center, but now you're here in Chelsea, and you're located in the building, basically the space pretty much right behind the Grateful Crow and the Clock Tower Commons, correct?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, and it's nice to have something like that, a landmark, back in the corner of the building there, because it's always been the teddy bear factory.
Right. Yep. And then it was, you had the ale house for a minute before they moved up Main Street. But yeah, and God knows that Grateful Crow sign is quite prominent. So if you see that, just go around the corner there and you'll find Chelsea ATA. How big is your space?
We're not that large. It's about 1,500 feet. And it's basically all workout floor, because that's the core of what we do and what we need. Right. So it's pretty much just a big open workout floor.
Well, that's super cool. And we were saying beforehand, you're able to do indoor classes up to 10 people now, including yourself. So even as we move into the cold months, it's great you have that location, because if you're still at the Wellness Center or something, in Manchester, who knows what kind of regulations you'd be dealing with trying to make that work. So that's excellent. Yeah. Very cool. So you mentioned ATA is a worldwide organization or countrywide. Is that correct? I'm sorry.
Worldwide.
Worldwide. Excellent. Yeah. And you told me before that your main focus is Taekwondo, but it does branch out a lot more than that. Can you give us some insight into the organization and truly, some of your guys' standards and operations?
Sure. Yeah. As far as branching out, there's different facets all over the place, all over the martial arts spectrum. We train in a bunch of different weapons. And we start that out, right away. So, as the students are starting, they kind of get their choice of things that we more or less, we kind of choose for them and guide them. But, as they develop, they'll start to learn, like, I like to do these weapons, or we have a thing called XMA, which is basically like the curriculum the Power Rangers use.
Okay.
So the founder, Mike Chatt, he was the original Blue Power Ranger.
Oh, okay.
It's basically the showy, flashy martial arts.
Right.
So, that's like one of the branches of ATA's curriculum that we teach. So there's a lot of different directions you can go. That kind of movie side has brought in people like the student that did The Last Airbender. He was an ATA student from, I forget where. So they're very, there's a lot of different spaces that we kind of fill into.
That's very cool. cool. I didn't know you guys had the weapons and stuff. So what kind of weapons would be an example, like a bow staff and like size, or I'm just naming spitballing.
Yeah, we have Korean names for everything, but to make it simple, like the nunchucks or sticks, uh, like different types of sticks too. We have the regular like stick, kind of like you've seen like Ninja Turtles,
Hmm.
or bow staff. But then we also have like a combat stick, which basically you get to spar or get to fight with sticks. A lot of the students like that. Since that came in a couple years ago, that's been a huge event. Um, and then a couple different swords. So there's like there's probably like 15, 16 different weapons that we teach.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I think. So what about raft? Do you guys have the size? Is that one of them? Is that what it's called?
Unfortunately, no. We've got commas. That's about as close as we get to that.
I'm,
But I have had some requests for psi, and unfortunately, that's not one that we do.
well, I'm sure out of the other 15, they can find something that'll work for them.
Yeah.
And you said so originally you guys do kind of encourage them to try a little different stuff, but eventually they start to fall into the ones they really like, and then they concentrate harder on that moving forward.
Yeah, everybody has to do the core, form, sparring, stuff like that. Everything's based on discipline, but yeah, people do kind of find their specialties. I have a friend that, growing up, his core really was XMA and competing in XMA. Some like, I have one student right now, his big focus is competition.
Yeah,
And so, for him, it's all about getting into tournament time, doing the different tournaments and events around the region, the country, so that he can qualify for state and district and hopefully world titles.
that's
Um,
very
so yeah, everybody starts to kind of focus. You know,
yeah. So it leaves a lot of room for people to get into the one that really works for them, as opposed to being pigeonholed in a sense. That's cool.
yeah,
It's very cool. Now, something else you mentioned, and I think is just really important, is there's a lot of morality and life skills that is a part of the programs that you're putting, that you're teaching in your studio. And I don't know if you could elaborate on that for us a little bit.
sure, yeah. We start at like 3 years old. So we start right away, especially with those guys pushing or teaching discipline, but breaking that down into like also respect and courtesy, the different life skills, self-esteem, and some of them kind of tie together. Like belief and self-esteem and courtesy, kind of start to overlap.
Right.
Um, but especially teaching those ages, we have our tigers, and there's a character that travels with them. So as they go up in rank, they have different characters.
Oh,
Um, yeah, that was kind of a collaboration with an artist that worked for Pixar. He worked with the ATA, and he's an ATA student. And they redid the program a couple years ago, and they introduced a bunch of characters and books and things that work with them. So as they're moving up, they have a lot of support material to help. And we spend the majority of our time really working on life skills, and then using martial arts to do that.
that's very cool. Yeah, that's awesome. And I think, like we said before, it's very cool just to have that additional set of morals and community to help with the child's upbringing outside of the family and school. You get everybody kind of gets those two, but it's something like the Boy Scouts or martial arts or these type of things that can help to show another avenue towards a lot of the same concepts. So it's just really cool to have that, and I'm so glad we have you here in our community. Um, it's just one more thing that makes this town so awesome. I love it. Speaking of the whole town and what's going on, we currently have Sweet Saver Saturdays going on right now, which you are participating in, and you got a pretty cool deal going on. Do you want to tell people a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. Right now, so every time or every Saturday, I guess it is, we do 20% off the annual membership. And there's a couple different levels, so depending on if it's a tiger or a regular base student, and then also the equipment package that goes along with that, which is basically all the safety gear. Especially right now with the pandemic time, we can't really share weapons and things.
Right.
So getting everybody to get started with all the equipment they need has kind of become crucial. um, so it includes, all the base, like a chuck and a stick and a combat stick, and all this, like I said, all the safety gear that goes with it, stuff like that. We use, or I use anyways, Sisu mouth guards, so we make sure we include one of those.
Okay.
Um, and everything is ATA equipment, so it's all ATA
Top of the line.
approved. And yep.
Yeah, that's very cool. So if they get a hold of you on Saturdays, not only is the beginning equipment package 20% off, but the yearly tuition as well. So that's pretty awesome. So, if people are looking to get started, definitely get a hold of you on a Saturday, and they can reach you through your website, I assume, which we put in the comments.
Yes. Yep.
Yep, and we threw Facebook up there too. So for all you out there, if you want to keep up to date with what's going on with Chelsea ATA, make sure to like their page on Facebook. And if you have any interest in starting out with some, not kicking and screaming, but some controlled martial arts, make sure to check out their website and sneak in there on a Saturday. Dan, did you have anything else you wanted to add before we go today?
No, I just thank you for doing this. This is definitely a great way. Definitely appreciate you promoting the local businesses any way you can.
Oh yeah, any
And
way we can. That's the motto of 2020, right? Any way we can.
yeah,
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for coming on. It has been great. It's so nice to have you guys on and be able to get you out there in front of the community and let everyone see what's going on. When right now there's so many people not out and about. So
yeah,
I appreciate that. And thank you to Shasta Grifka with Grifka Marketing for sponsoring as always. And we will see you guys all next week. Thanks, Dan. Goodbye, everybody.
thank you.